Welcome back. Lots of earnings to get through this morning, but let's start with Starbucks. The master orator, Howard Schultz, appears to still have some juice on Wall Street with the stock rising after a weak quarter. Julie liked that one, right? I hand wrote that one myself, put in the prompter. But look, I have seen this time and time again covering Howard Schultz. First, when I was an analyst, he would hop onto an earnings call. The stock would be down after a disappointing quarter. This guy hops to the mic. All of a sudden, Starbucks shares are popping in the pre-market. After hours, they turn around, and we're seeing it again here, laying out a lot of things. I think, I have a piece on the Yahoo Finance homepage right now. I think he wants to turn Starbucks into a McDonald's. Put more drive-thrus in its stores, put in new technology, turning to more of a fast food place instead of that third place, that thing that he's been pitching for decades where you sit in there and scrub free Wi-Fi.
Okay, let's talk about the numbers for just a second, because it is so interesting to me that the shares, to your point, are up 7% after he talked. Yeah. The numbers were not great. Okay, so earnings per share missed estimates by 2 cents. Operating margin, 12.4%, missed estimates. U.S. comps were the bright spot here, to be sure. And revenue, you can see, beat by a little bit. U.S. comparable sales up 12%, but global comps were up 7%. 7.5% is what analysts had been looking for. China comps down 23%. And we see that in a number of different food-related and just anything-related earnings for this season, is that China is a weak spot. So we're definitely not talking about universal strength by any means. I agree with you that it's the Schultz effect, if you will.
And I mean, internationally, you bring up global. Internationally, China has been such a big part of their growth strategy. Anytime you see a massive shutdown, lockdown, like we have seen over the past quarter, impacting Starbucks very much head on. The ticket price decline, 4% decline in average ticket, and then additionally the global comp store sales that they saw continued headwinds there, and who knows when those are going to lift, quite frankly, going forward, and some of that pressure. But coming back to Schultz, is he a Michael Jordan type figure for Starbucks, wearing 4-5 when he comes back this time, and a very different message, to your point, that he is pitching, because now it's about how do you streamline the amount of hours that are worked, the amount of square footage that you've got, leaning into some of the digital investments as well, and what does that look like for the number of employees that you need to make that happen?
Well, the past month, he started on April 4th officially as CEO, and his global listening tours that he has been on have been a disaster. He has put his foot in his mouth repeated number of times. But we may not have to worry about Michael Jordan sticking around Starbucks for much longer. They talked about, Schultz was mentioning that they will likely have a successor sometime by September. Now, there's a key analyst day in September. Wouldn't be surprised if a successor is announced this summer, and then they could show off this likely much younger person who understands NFTs at that investor day.
A Starbucks and NFT, that's where we're going, right? We didn't even talk about what he said about unions, right? He kind of came out swinging against this whole union push on the part of the company and talked about the things that Starbucks is going to do effectively to try to combat them, raising its average wage to $17 an hour. It's giving tenured employees another pay rise. So spending $1 billion overall on some of these measures. I was just telling you guys on an anecdotal basis, I passed a Starbucks the other day that had a hiring sign outside that said the starting wage was $14.50. Now that 17 is an average, but still it's interesting to see that kind of a number.
He's fraying his workforce. It was just startling to hear this talk from a one-time Democratic presidential hopeful talking about, we're going to give you, if you're not part of a union, we're going to give you raises. We're going to give you more training. And then for all you union folks out there, well, you could just go there and
negotiate your own thing.
You're going to have to negotiate. Yes. Maybe you got a couple more bucks.
Democratic independent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely centrist, to be sure. Okay, important question. Standard Starbucks order.
I go black coffee. Our producer Val, she orders these really complicated drinks that cost $8 in 25 minutes to make, and that's a reason why they're coming out with these drive-thrus and probably more machines in the store to make drinks for our producer like Val.
Throughput is the challenge. That's their buzzword for getting stuff. What about you,
Grande
Brad?
French vanilla Pike Place. A little bit of room.
Grande French
that's
simple. You have to spit it at them very quickly.
We don't need machines to make that.
No. That's simple?
Yeah, I think it's simple.
Yeah.
I go veranda with half and half.
I think Val's got a double Oatly, 12 sugars, and 5 shots.
All right. Yeah. We don't have to. Let's give her a break.
Oatly,
it's okay.
bad quarter for Oatly.
What does the Starbucks NFT look like? That's the question.
I don't want to see it.
Siren.
It's with the logo.
It's got the siren logo.
Yeah, I assume so.